Hello, good day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Jakub Popluhar, and I'm the host of Future Roundnet podcast. In today's episode, we'll be talking a lot about coaching, especially in sport of Roundnet. My guest is Lukas Tapken from Munich, Germany. Lukas Tapken is an accomplished European Roundnet pro player whose best achievements were third place at the European Tour Series in Riga in 2022 with, you guessed it, me. Lukas and I were team partners for some time and played a bunch of tournaments, won a few of them as well. But more importantly, we laid down the foundation of Munich Roundnet Club, which has now over 100 paying members. In this episode, we talked about the structure of training session, but especially how to structure trainings within your club. We talked about women's training because we're the very first one, according to our knowledge, in Europe to do so in 2020, and also the divisions within the club, because we see nowadays that more and more pro players stop going to practices because they just don't get enough value. We talk about our experiences from Munich while growing the club and the challenges we faced. More importantly, Lukas, as a part of Roundnet Germany, organized a huge training camp for the coaches in 2021, and later on in 23 he also featured in the camp as one of the head coaches only 1 year after he started playing competitive Roundnet. We had a blast. We talked also about some drills, mindset and everything. And you may ask, why am I talking English? Because with German guests or Austrian guests, I talk German. However, both Lukas and I really think this episode is so vital when it comes to growing the sport and coaching in Roundnet. Therefore, we both, as non-native speakers, decided to do so. Well, I hope you're gonna enjoy it. Let us know in comments what did you think, and attacke. Bye-bye. Future Roundnet. Lukas, hi there, and welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have you here.
Hello, Jakub. I'm really excited.
Perfect. Before we start, this is probably one of the first questions that's going to come up, is that the Roundnet world, and now the world as well, knows that you're German, originally from Freiburg, but that you're German. And on this podcast, I interviewed a lot of German and Austrian guests, and we talked in German. And we had this conversation recently, okay, should we do it in German or English? So why are we doing it in English now? What do you think?
I think we have a lot of great topics today, and it's probably topics for the whole world, the whole Roundnet world. So why not do it in English, that everybody has something from it?
I agree. And since I've been an English teacher, I know that the English proficiency in German is actually on a very high level, and Germans will hopefully understand. Don't take it personally, guys. Our German-speaking world, we are doing this for you as well, but you will be more familiar with the topics compared to the world of Roundnet, let's say in Belgium, France, and so on and so forth. Because in Germany, we are, I don't want to say because it sounds a little bit cocky, quite advanced when it comes to Roundnet, especially because of a great work of Roundnet Germany. But before we get into that, Lukas, can you just briefly sum up your Roundnet career? When did you start? Maybe your favorite tournaments, and where are you based?
First of all, at the moment I'm based in Munich. That's where I started playing Roundnet when I met you. It was like the beginnings of my Roundnet career was probably seeing it in a park, people having fun playing the spike ball thing. And yeah, it was Corona time and nothing too crazy happened. So we decided, me and my friends, to get one of the cheapest spike ball starting kits, and we started playing. It was a lot of fun, but it was terrible what we did, but we had fun. And I think it was actually 1 or 2 weeks after when we started in the park that I think you came up and talked to me, and you said, like, we have a pickup thing right over there, like 50 meters, and do you want to play? And I was like, okay, why not? Let's do it. And then I was standing next to you playing some Roundnet. I was more watching what you did, but it was really fun. Yeah, I think that was the start. And afterwards, it went to fantastic holidays with you in Italy, Bibione, I think.
Yes. I was not familiar with the first part of the story. I know the second part, but okay, I did talk you into joining our weekly pickup sessions that we started in Munich. We call it Pickup Tuesday exactly for this reason. I've learned from Taylor Sanford, the founder of Premier Spike and Utah Roundnet. So shout out to Taylor, because I thought, okay, we need to grow this community. And I remember in 2020, I was riding my bike through the park every single day. And I talked to everyone that I saw with a spike ball or any kind of roundnet net, and just like played with them a little bit, chatted, and added them to our WhatsApp group. And it's great to know that you are also one of the people who actually stuck with it and now bringing a great value to the sport. But okay, so pick up. And then I remember correctly, I can even point this tree I talked to, because do you remember I actually approached you with wrong name because I thought you were
think so,
someone
yeah.
else. Because I don't know, because I thought you were someone else. And we had this thing in Bibione, which was the very first, you can call it maybe a mini fresh for people who are familiar with Mallorca. We got an idea on the way to one tournament with Marius from Graz that we should run a training camp somewhere. So Marius, then Toby from Munich, and I said, okay, let's go, let's do it. And we organized this thing with Vienna Roundnet, Regensburg, Munich. I went to Bibione, and we still had some spots open. And I was like, okay, this Tristan guy, he seems really committed. So let's go and let's talk to him. But it was you, and I had no idea. And you were like, yeah, I have time. Let's go.
Yeah, I was really
that
confused,
was the beginning.
but it sounded so good. And normally I'm heading to Bibione every year to play volleyball with my family. So I was like, oh, it's Corona. I couldn't go to Bibione yet, so why not? So it was like perfect timing. Everything was perfect.
Yeah, for me, it was a little bit bitter back then because I didn't have I don't want to say fixed, I didn't have a stable job. I was working as a freelancer, and then I got a job as a teacher. And suddenly I couldn't stay the whole week that I organized, and I had to leave after 2 days. It was kind of a bummer, but I've heard you guys had a great time, and we met the Italians, the Bolzano guys there. A lot of stories, a lot of fun. It was really start of something new when I got this idea for Mallorca. Actually, okay, next time I want to do somewhere where it's not raining as much, right? And actually, it was Danny Cadlets from Roundnet Tiramisu came to me like, Shoes comes a little bit closer. Jakub, I don't want to be rude, but next time, please let it be on turf. I hate sand. I hate playing in sand. I was like, Danny, I'm sorry, but I'll try. I'll do my best. Can't promise anything. And 1 year later, we were in Mallorca. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, so you started in Munich,
after
and what followed then?
The week in Bibione, I saw that there are people out there playing the sport way better than what I even could expect it. And I was like fired on, and I went home to Freiburg, my hometown, and I was like drilling every day. It was super fun. And also I drilled a lot with you when I was in Munich. You showed me a lot of techniques and stuff you learned from the US guys. And I was catching fire on the sport, and I improved really quickly during your help and during my drill sessions, which I did a lot. Yeah, and then I don't know which tournament was the first, but I think it just went that I joined the Munich club and started playing. And somewhere, I don't know even what my first tournament was. Maybe you know.
I know, of course I do. As a good coach would know, is the first tournaments of his players. Your first tournament was actually, in a hindsight, not an easy one. Bavaria Open.
Oh yeah, but you missed one. We had one on. I remember now. We had one on sand in somewhere. I think Klagenfurt. Was it that? I played one tournament with
was
Basti together on sand.
okay. Could be that we went to Austria to Harris Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
The
It was
Cup
that.
before.
And after this
Yeah,
one, it's the
yeah.
Bavaria thing you talked about.
Which I'm so flabbergasted, because if you look up Fuengo right now, I mean, okay, there's now a lot of rounded trivia, but it's also maybe interesting, or definitely interesting for me. So screw you, haters, because we love you guys who are watching and listening. That I had no idea, or I didn't know a lot about European Roundnet community back then. And we had teams like Poco Bian, Hustling Brothers, Per Canis, German national player, was playing in the advanced division, and Ivo was playing, obviously, Marcus Andele, Luca Des Mario. So all of stars that emerged 1 year later from there. And there's actually a video of Rafi from Vienna showing reverse cut to Levi, who couldn't reverse back then. And that's the rest is history of Levi van Dale learning how to do a reverse cut. And oh boy, we've been aced, two of us especially, in that one game back then. But before this gets sentimental and I get mad, bro, then I want to ask you about your coaching, because what you just said was that you drilled a lot and you had someone, in this case it was me, who showed you the right way. I mean, there is not really a right way, but there are ways that work, or work more and work less. I spent some time in the US. I watched every single game I could, then How to Round It started. And you had something in your eyes from the beginning, which I remember seeing in the park back then, like, okay, you want to get better. And that I didn't have to tell you to do 100 serves, that I knew you would do 200. And this is something that you have in you, right? Is it something you have discovered when you were playing volleyball, because you're a football coach? But when was the first time you discovered this will to really get better, not in rounded, but
I
in
think it
general in
was
life,
as
maybe
a
as a
kid.
kid?
There are some stories my mom always tells me about how I was in school and how I was doing my sports and stuff, and it was always the same. If something is like not interesting for me, it's hard to get me to do it. But if I catch fire for something and I really like it, I'm always going 200% on it. And it's like classic stories from at home when I was like doing something and I was really focused on, and my mom said, "Oh, it's dinner time" and stuff. There was no chance to get me to dinner until I was finished with that what I wanted to do. So if I like something, I'm always going full in, and it was the same with Roundnet.
Do you have some examples from back then when you were a kid that you were obsessed?
There's a funny story from school. Like I think it was first grade, when my mom visited my teacher, and my teacher was like, "Oh, your son, he's like the boss in school." And my mom was like, "Really? Oh no, what's going on? I need to know. What is he doing wrong and stuff?" And then she corrected herself and was like, "No, he's the guy who is like having everything under control. He's looking for all the students. He's looking for all his friends. He's making sure that everything is working and stuff." And then my mom was like pretty happy after that. But first of all, she was really shocked, and it's quite a funny story.
The proudest Mama Tapken out there.
Could be.
My son is my son is the boss. I love that. So it's a trait that you have and that you can get obsessive. I mean, I have that as well. And throughout the podcast, as I get to know some of our friends or some of our rounded players and amazing humans better, also, I mean, they all have it like, okay, once I start doing something, I'm going all in. Whereas a lot of people, it's very difficult for them to get motivated or to actually start liking something, right? And when you started coaching Roundnet, it was you started playing and then you started coaching. Was there something that you observed in a way? Okay, how could you motivate these people who are not like you, who are not like me, who are not like, okay, I love this and I'm going to go 110%? How did you deal with this situation?
I think it's first of all always about having fun in the thing you do. So first of all, when I'm coaching players or people which are not that good or which are not having this like 200% motivation already, it's more about catching catching them fire, like giving them the fun. And if they have fun, normally it comes by itself, that the motivation. And it's all about having small steps, having small process, making improvements step after step, and not going like full in and you have to do like this and this and this and this. Doing small things. It's like we have a lot of players in Munich which are not the talented players out there, but they still enjoy the sport and they still have fun and they still drill a lot because they make those small steps. And even if they lose it, at next time they try it again, and they always get like some improvement, and that's when they catch motivation. But it's obviously harder to catch people's motivation if the improvement is not that fast as for a really talented player.
It was also a part of goal setting. So what are the goals of the people? Something that I struggled with big time, and I talked with Ruben, our Roundnet photographer, sports photographer, in the last episode, that we just didn't know that you go somewhere, you go to a practice to have fun. We went to a practice to improve so we can destroy and win at a tournament or in the game when the game day comes. But if your goal as a Roundnet player is just to do a little sport and meet new people, and you know it as a coach, then obviously you have to structure the training differently. Because if it was up to me, not like up to me, but if it was straight like 100% just the essence, you would be doing 4 or 5 drills all the time, 95% of the time, because they're the most useful. But if your goal is not to become the best Roundnet player on the planet, but the best Roundnet player you can be, then it's more about fun, about coming earlier to practice, having something to do every Thursday or Wednesday. Does not really matter. When did you start coaching?
Oh, that's also a good question. I'm not that familiar with my Roundnet history as I know now.
I mean, with football.
With football? Oh, that's easy. That's 9 years ago now. So yeah, a lot of time. So I started, I think, 13, 14, something around there.
Okay, but you are fairly young as a coach. I mean, you're fairly young as a person right now. But if every 13-year-old, they don't wake up one day and say, okay, I want to be a coach. I want to be next Thomas Müller, Franz Beckenbauer. I don't want to be the next Jose Mourinho, right? Jürgen Klopp. What was that for you? Or how did this decision come to place, especially since you played volleyball?
I had
right?
volleyball a lot, like 4, 5, 6 times a week, even the whole weekends. But it was that time when I had like a little issue with my knee, like a growing thing with my bone. So I was out for 1 year. I couldn't do like over, I think 80-90% of my power and stuff on the knee. So I had to step a little bit back, and that's where I went to my local football club. I played a bit because I always liked playing football, and also I saw the young kids playing football and also the coaches which coached the young kids. And it's like always the same thing in life. When I see something and I think I can do it better, I start doing it. And yeah, then I went to someone who was like a friend of mine. He was like 5, 6, 7 years older than me, but he was like around 20, 21, doing his first coaching experiences and stuff with small kids. And I was like, hey, can I join you? Can I watch what you do? And yeah, that's what I did. And after 2, 3 trainings, I always went home and told my mom, he's doing trash. I can do it way better. And then my mom said, yeah, do it. And I collected 2 of my best friends, and we went out there and we failed successfully in the first training because every kid wanted to be the goalkeeper. And I was like, there's no chance. All of you can go into the goal. And yeah, one of the kids started crying, and we were like, oh no, what can we do and stuff. Yeah, but it was the starting. And then I kept on moving. I had fun, and I started coaching older kids. Yeah, switched some clubs, and it also started like doing it professional.
Okay, I mean, football is game number 1, soccer for Americans. In Germany, the world champions, multiple world champions. And
in your club, in your city alone, right, in Freiburg, there are multiple football clubs. So you had plenty of choices, or how were the conditions for young coaches? Because of course, everyone wants to be a player, but was there kind of a program or maybe someone who supported you? Okay, you want to be a coach? Okay, let's go. Start young. Learn how to coach. Learn how to deal with kids who cry, right? And care about their feelings and make sure the team is all pulling at the same rope, right?
Yes. Sure.
So
First of all, the thing with the crying kids, I have to reach out to my mom. Like, she's being one of the best teachers I know out there. And so I learned a lot of the pedagogic stuff, like how to deal with kids and stuff from her. So that's not up to the football club. Later on, I learned how to deal with it, but my mom is doing a big part here. For the coaching thing, there are like 100 clubs out there in like close to me. In Freiburg, I think there are over, I don't know, 50 clubs, something. If you collect the area around it and stuff, there are different leagues and different areas. So it's pretty easy to find a job as a football coach because they're missing all over. Everybody needs some of the football coaches. Same in my club. We have like, they are not playing in the best leagues and stuff. It's just more about a big family, a big club with hundreds of kids playing football. So they needed people all the time, and the club already had the mentality to choose their own players to be a coach. So they also were interested in me because I already played like sometimes for the club when I had time. And that's when I started. And the club did good because they allowed me a lot to do. So it was not like, do this, and this, but you can't do that, and that. It was like all on me. And I could choose with my friends together what we want to train with the kids, what we want to do, which tournament we want to go and stuff. So I had really big opportunities there. Even when I started growing and getting older teams, I remember when I was 17, being head coach of a team with the players who were 15, 16 years old. So I was 1 year up and I still wasn't 18, which you need in Germany to be like a real coach, a head coach, because otherwise it's not allowed. Mm-hmm. But they allowed me to do it. And some of the parents from the players, they said, we will take care of it and we will be there if something is needed. So they allowed me a lot, even if it was not that legal. But that's why I improved so fast. And afterwards, I really enjoyed the thing that Football Germany is doing, like the Deutsche Fußballverband, the German Soccer Federation. Yeah. Exactly, because they have like great coaching program. You can go to several cities and clubs to improve stuff. They teach you techniques, they teach you tactics, they teach you athletic stuff, they teach you everything. So it's expensive, but sometimes the club is supporting you and is paying something of it, and that worked out really well for me. Yeah, I had big supporters in the club, and that's how I started.
So before we go to something that you've said, because I really need to and want to hear about this, did you said that the clubs actually pay the fees, so they invest in their coaches, they put money in because they know once you pay for the coach so he can or she can learn and improve, then the whole club is going to work. And they actually have budgets assigned, like in companies, right? If you work in a corporate world, if okay, this is for the leader development program, and this is how we want our people to be smarter, better at sales, better in Google Ads or whatever. So it's good to point out that it's also in football and in other sports. I know this from handball.
It's really easy in football
floorball,
because the thing in football is if someone is making a coaching license, the club gets money from the German Football Federation. So if you say you have like a young talented coach, you can say, okay, if you stay in the club for the next 1 or 2 years, we're gonna give you the money for doing the license, because they will get it back afterwards if they have like coaches with license. So they did not do it for me. I was allowed to leave at any time, which was perfect for me. But they get money, so it's way easier than in other sports, I would say.
Okay, no, that's very interesting, and actually it makes all of sense. And German's football, even despite some misgivings, but not the best results in the last couple of years or big tournaments, the German fans are used to. But this should not turn ideally into a football conversation and the German
That's a whole lot of
right?
a big other topic.
But
We could do like several podcasts about what is
exactly,
going wrong at the German Football Federation at the moment.
I have no idea, and that's not my expertise. But I want to go back. You said, I'm imagining you at 13. I've met you when you were 20, and you had a big ego, a little bit arrogant, which is okay. But I'm just imagining you being 13, seeing a coach who's been doing it longer than you. You've never done the job, and you're like, I can do this better. What were the examples? Can you remember some examples or some things that these coaches did that you thought, okay, this is terrible? Like it needs to be
first
done
of all,
this and that way.
Not that much about like tactics or techniques and stuff. I could play football and I had an idea of how to do it, and he was not the best of his own. He was not a good football player, so he was. It was easy to make it like better, even if you are way younger. But the big thing which I didn't like was he was not good with dealing kids, and I learned a lot of stuff from my mom, and I was like, you cannot shout at kids and stuff, and I was like, I can do that way better. So it was more about, I think, these things, and probably I already had some ideas for like better exercises and stuff, but it was not the main focus there.
So to single out something that you have said, as a coach or also as a player, there are certain things that you can learn by doing drills, tactics, but there are things that you need to be born with or have a lot of background or history with doing that. I mean, if you grew up with a mom who is great with kids, then obviously we mimic our parents a lot. I have the same thing. My dad, my mom were coaches, or our coaches and our teachers, they're my entire family actually. I've talked about this last time, I believe, that first time when I was standing in front of the classroom, they asked me, okay, how many years are you teaching? I was like, this was my very first time. I was alone with school children. They're like, what? No way. And they told me, okay, you have something it can't be taught, right? And this is the difference with, you have this that you need to be born with or learn somehow subconsciously, and then those things, because, and this is what we do. We teach people how to improve in Roundnet or how to improve in other aspects of their lives. But I can teach almost everyone how to be a decent or good coach with the exercise, with the structure, with, okay, times, because this is easily learned. But those things, okay, how do you sell yourself to your players? How do you convey the message? Are you screaming or are you not screaming? Are you talking even or talking a lot? This needs to can be learned to a certain extent, but it needs to be kind of born with. Not born with, but you know what I mean. And I hope people know as well. Nice. I had no idea. That's very good. They're bad. Now, when I said that we're actually teaching coaches, I'm doing it without a lot of publicity because I'm not the biggest Instagram fan. You know, some people may not agree with that because they can see my face from time to time there. But you especially, you worked or you are part of Roundnet Germany for many years, and you co-organized or organized the training camp. So for everyone listening who's a Roundnet coach now, this is what we do in Germany and what Lukas specifically did with a bunch of other great humans. So could you maybe walk us through, first of all, the process of getting the idea, okay, we need to teach Roundnet coaches in Roundnet Germany? It was the first time in 2021. How did the idea arrive to your mind?
I think it all started when I had the idea of joining Roundnet Germany at all, because they had like this join our groups, and I said, okay, yeah, I think I could do something. I can help growing the sport. And then I joined. I had a really nice, I had really nice people around me, and we started like collecting ideas for our group. And I was just throwing it in to have like a coaching camp because I had like such a great experience with my own license stuff I did. So I was like, why not teach everyone what the best roundnet players in Germany know at the moment, and to spread it out, to get better knowledge in Germany, to get better coaches, and why not teach people how to coach, how to make a proper training, how to do the training and stuff. So that was the idea, and the whole group was like, okay, that sounds crazy. Let's try to do it. Let's find a spot. What do we need and stuff? And it was like a really short time to organize it actually, and it was like really stressful the first time. But somehow, especially with like great people like Clemens from Hanisch, probably some of you know him for sure, and also Yannick, he's called the Grinsey, like the person who's always smiling. They did like fantastic job, and we smashed it, and we had the camp, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I participated in the camp because I was very curious about the entire structure. Okay, coaching of coaches, and the weather was not our best friend in the first one. It was very cold, very muddy. I think everyone learned a lot of things, obviously, yet it was far from ideal. But obviously you guys did a great job with presentations. And what I liked at Roundnet Germany that you guys did was that you can only have 2 people from community. So it can be 10 guys or 10 people from Cologne and 10 from Hamburg, but 2 or 3 maximum, depending on the size of community. And it was very interesting to see for me personally that the huge majority of people there never coached anyone ever. And that was, I think, that was very challenging. Were you, when you and the team, the organization team, expecting this? Or were you prepared for this kind of situation? Okay, we're probably not going to have a lot of experienced coaches, roundnet coaches, or coaches in general there, so we need to teach them the basics.
I think it was exactly what you said. Like, we were not expecting much. We were like expecting to doing the basic techniques and stuff, and show them some tips and tricks we use in training to make it a little bit better. And even if it's only getting a little bit better in every community, we still have an impact, and it should make everything better. And as you said, the conditions were like not the best. We didn't have a soccer field. We did not have good weather and stuff. But yeah, we will probably talk about the second try we had with the coaching camp. Yeah. It was a bit better there.
So what were the differences, maybe except of the weather in preparations? Because in 22 there was no trainer camp, so coaching camp for coaches. But this year, I mean, you and Kara wrote also an article about it that people could find on our blog. But what were the differences or the lessons learned?
The lessons learned was especially having a field. Yeah, that was like really important for us, and we had like a really good location with small houses and the field right next to it. I cannot say like everything about the organization because I was already dropped out from Roundnet Germany at this point, so I was not the head of organization for the camp 2.0, so don't know everything about that, but we had better structure, I would say. We had probably same stuff, like the same basic techniques and tactics and stuff. Of course, they developed over the 2 years, so the new basic level was different than the old one. But I think the location made it already way better, and yeah, I think we were well prepared with a lot of people this year, like having, I think, 15 coaches or stuff, which in my opinion was a bit too much, but it was unfortunate because many people could not stay the whole time, so it was like swapping out, and yeah.
Okay, and how many participants? I mean, with 15 coaches this year, I was not aware of that information. That's a lot. how many participants did you have this year and then 2 years ago, for people to grasp the magnitude of this event?
The first one was with 90 coaches, I would say, 80 to 90 coaches.
Coaches?
Players, I'm sorry. Yes, exactly. Now they're coaches. From over 60 communities. 60, am I wrong?
Wow.
No, not 30, 45, something around that. It was, I think, over 60 probably signed up, but I'm not sure.
Someone can fact check us.
There should be also facts on Roundnet Germany somewhere. And the second one, I think, was same size. So same size of players. The houses were not bigger than in the first location, and also the meeting room where we had all the presentations and stuff was a bit smaller than from the first camp, which was like really cozy. Yeah, so same participants, I would say.
And from your experience, what were the participants, so the players and future coaches, no pun intended there, what did I like the most, so to say? What were, okay, I had no idea, finally my eyes are wide open now because there's so many things I can do in my community I didn't know how to fix. For example, what were the kind of feedback, positive, and also, of course, if you feel like sharing negative one that maybe also me and the entire world can learn from?
I would say positive was for sure having the correct or like the best way that we have at the moment for every technique. From the basic stuff, setting, hitting, serving and stuff. I think everyone learned there a lot because normally as a player you have your strengths and your weaknesses, and some player already had good serves and some already had good hitting and stuff, but everyone learned a bit somewhere. And also I think many people should have learned a lot from what Caro and I did, like how to prepare a training session and how to coach a group. Negative wise, I would say many of them were like really tired after the days because it was an information overload, as I would say, because it was not that perfectly structured, and yeah, not every coach was sticking to his time limit, so it went out of control, and some days it took until 10 p.m., which was like way too much, and people said they couldn't like remember everything. They need time to process and stuff. So yeah, structure wise and from the information level, also having some Roundnet Germany people there to doing some sessions about school and something about inclusion and stuff. So we had different topics as well on top of the first camp. So it was also more stuff on the same limited of days. So it was a bit too much.
It is extremely difficult to cherry pick the most information or practices. And of course, the Roundnet coaches who were there presenting, they're also not professionals. They're not professional speakers. As far as I'm concerned, they're not professional coaches. Also, you get nervous speaking in front of a group, and people tend to talk much more if they're nervous. As well, in TED Talks, you have the time limit, or when the public speakers, they structure everything almost perfectly. But also, I know, because I wrote several scripts, video scripts, it takes a long time to write a script for 30 seconds video, like intro of each podcast episode takes me 2-3 hours. That's just for 20-30 seconds, and I'm already fast, I was told, right? So it is extremely difficult. And then when you have more, but I believe this is something that we need to fight with also as coaches in the young sport of Roundnet, because we are facing the same challenges in the Mallorca training camp, because we have 5 full days of 5 or 6 hours of Roundnet every day, yet we still don't manage to cover everything, or we don't manage to go in depth of every single thing that we would like, because there is simply right now so much more information, and it's you can't teach basketball in a week, right? From zero, you can't. So that's why we need to know more our players or participants, and then tailor it to their needs. right? But it's just
if you look to other sports,
off.
if you do like one of the lowest license in football, it takes you 3 whole weeks or something. So it's not possible to do a sport in just 3 days or something. So maybe next time we need to find out which is like the important stuff and kick something out or make more days. We will see.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many opportunities, and it's really just trial and error at this stage, right? Because if you are organizing a coaching camp for coaches, you don't know what level of coaching or the level of experience they already have in advance,
Exactly.
right? So that is very difficult. But I can imagine still people having the best time and remembering a lot. So that is really great. You also coached, or we obviously coached a lot in Munich, and Munich Roundnet Community, one of the biggest clubs right now in Germany, probably in the world, over 100 members,
Yes.
I believe. What were some of the challenges that you and I faced? Because we don't want to be talking about the accomplishments, of course we can, but that's usually you don't learn so much from success or things that run well. But what were some of the learning lessons that you've learned? And then if you're interested, I can also share mine in this period of the last couple of 3 years that we coached there.
Yeah, I think we can start with talking about the first trainings that we did in Munich. So I would say that first of all, you started with a women's training session. And then we started with having training once a week in the park, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Could be, sounds about right.
Yeah. I also
did we really
yeah.
Sorry, did we really have first the women's training? They were the very first official training, or unofficial ones, and then for everyone else? I'm just wondering because that could be possible. But
I think it could actually be possible because I think we had like pickups with several things of coaching. So we did like 1 or 2 exercises and play pickup, but like having a fixed training session with like warm up and start, and we're gonna do it now for 1 hour or 1.5 hour training session. I think it could be the women's first. And if you look on on the players' side in Munich now, like look at how many fantastic women players we have out there. So probably it's because we started first with the women's.
That is true, and I remember asking myself questions. Okay, how can we attract more female players, more women to play the sport? Because this is one of the beauties of the sport is with having good technique, you can really make up for lack of strength because men are generally stronger, generally speaking. So don't crucify me now. Biology is there stronger than women. Like it's not always, but with flicks and with finesse, you can really at least keep up with men. And this is what I actually taught the women and taught all the players, all the girls that I knew. And I remember the very first training session we had, there were 16 women and I only knew 2. And I was like, okay, this is great. And maybe for the communities out there, to give you an idea what we did or what my thought process was, that I saw there were a lot of women coming to pickups, but they were not playing that much. They were very shy. And it was usually because they were not, their skill level was not as high, and they did not want to make it worse for the others, right? Some of the men or some people, they just don't care. Okay, I just want to improve. But I noticed, okay, this is really a deal breaker. And because of COVID, we used to play in a spot that was a little bit outside of our regular playing spot in the park in English and Garden in Munich. It was a little bit of hidden, because from my experience, women are also a little bit more self-aware and ashamed. In a way, I don't know if this is the right word, but I don't want to stereotype anything, but it was important for me so they don't have to feel shy and they are in a safe space. So I made sure to create a safe environment. I set the expectations from the start. Okay, I'm your coach. I've been playing for a lot of time. I've been coaching a lot. And our goal is in these 6 weeks, we have 1 training session a week. is that after the 6 weeks, you will keep up with most of the guys in the park, and you can just keep playing with them. And we had so many friendships. We have so many women players now that date back from the very first one that we started in 2020. I could check my phone. I think the group has over 100 women signed up on WhatsApp in Munich alone. I mean, obviously they're not tournament players, but some of them are already in the clubs and are organizing stuff and are participating in events. But that was the goal. So one specific time, a little bit where no one could see us, is we're improving in silence, grinding. And then after training, we actually went to pickups, and then we could already execute and apply what we've learned. And I could see the look on the girls' faces, like, oh, I've learned this is so cool. And now, oh, did you see that? I had this so many times, like, yeah, Jacob, did you see that? I was like, I saw that, like, great job. It's like, gut gemacht. Yeah. So, okay, women's training was the very first one that we had in Munich. I mean, I was not aware of that. Nice. And then, as you said, what were your teachings? So what did you learn, like, from the negative experience more, like, while coaching Roundnet?
I would say that not everyone in the club is focused on being the best player, but that's something I learned really fast. That they have like different goals. Most of them want to play pickups in the park and stuff, and not everyone wants to be in a fixed training. But also many of them wanted to be in a fixed training, but not everyone had the same mindset, had the same like goals to being the best player. And yeah, so it's actually, if you're looking at a big club, they have like different teams, they have like different levels and stuff. We didn't have that. It was one big group with like different goals, different mindsets, different skill levels, and that's like pretty impossible to handle, I would say. So there's only make the best out of it, but you cannot make everyone happy and stuff. So I think that's something I already knew, but I really saw that again there. It reminded me back to the days when I started with football and stuff. So
it is challenging, and it's happening. I talked to Rania. It's happening in a lot of clubs around the world. You have then people who want to travel to tournaments, who are willing to spend time and money into getting better and maybe having success, great result. So I think they'll be telling their kids about it. For sure, will tell kids about my Roundnet career once I get some, and then they'll grow up a little bit. But how could we deal with that? Or I know that, I mean, you and I know how we dealt in Munich. Maybe we can share a little bit of that, but there were also things that didn't work. But if you could do anything, and not now look in Munich Roundnet, how would you, if you were now the president of a club, Munich Roundnet Club Basel Vienna, you'd have unlimited power with the experience that you have right now, how would you dealt with, okay, you have 100 people, 120 people who want to go to training sessions, but you also you cannot keep everyone happy, I guess, right? But how would you do that? Like, hypothetically speaking.
That's funny. It's probably the most asked question around the world when it comes to coaching. Like in the coaching camps we had in Germany, it was always like someone explained something, but then someone asked like, how can I do it in my club with every skill level together and stuff? I know now how to do it when I have like different groups and stuff, but I don't have that. I have like a big group with different levels and stuff. So it's pretty funny that you're asking that, because I think many of us coaching out there are faced with this question like every day. And I have to say, it's you can do the best out of it, but there's not a perfect solution for it. It's always about the players, and you have to keep up with the players and be spontaneous. And if I had a chance to do it, something I learned for sure in my coaching career is like having different skills different levels of groups, it helps a lot, because if you're like the only coach and for 50 people, it's probably impossible to make someone better. It's more about having them playing and they're learning by themselves. You can go around and give some tips and ideas, but you cannot coach. I would not talk about coaching there. It's more about having a group and something and they repeat it, but it's not coaching, I would say. So having the thing we do at Fresh Camp, having a maximum level of players for one coach is like a thing which is really important, I would say, like having over 12 to 16 people for one person to deal with, especially if you're not like really experienced coach. It's pretty tough and pretty impossible, I would say, to do a good job as a coach.
Yeah, at Fresh this year we have maximum 12 people per coach. So people will be able to get even more individual feedback they already got last year, obviously. So you were talking about splitting people into different divisions or different groups based on skill level. In almost all established sports, that's a routine, especially when it comes to youth. You have under 10s, under 12s, under 14s, and then you have A team, B team, C team,
Exactly.
and so forth. And everyone knows that, and they're fine with that. I mean, of course, feelings get hurt, but it helps people to find their place. And what I've been noticing when talking to a lot of people around the world, they don't want to make decisions because they're afraid someone's feelings are going to get hurt. But this is my opinion, also experience. In a long term, it's good, because if you put the grades and the different mindsets, different goals in one group, there's going to be so much friction. They're going to be stayed on their net, in their group, the others on that, and they're not going to be put together. And you as a coach, if you try to mix them up a little bit, then they're like, yeah, no, we don't want to, I'm wasting my time. And as a result, you will have, and I know a lot of players, I mean, we've been in the same situation, that the best players will stop coming to practices. And I think that is a big, big shame, something that we really need to fix.
I would say having the Roundnet community, which is obviously the best community in the world, like having the opportunity to travel to every country, sleeping at someone's house, place. It's like the human beings out there in Roundnet, it's crazy. I never experienced a community like this before. But the one thing about the Roundnet community, the weakness, it's exactly that, what you said. I think people are afraid to make someone unhappy. It's always about having everyone together, making sure everyone is happy. And if someone, like only 1 out of 100 is not happy, it's a problem. Which is on one side really fantastic and super nice to have, but on the side to getting better in a sport, it's not working well.
I've talked to Vienna Roundnet, and you'll be hearing a lot about me and Vienna in the future, because great friends of mine, how they fix, because they also have some great players, the best women team in Europe for 2023, Tiramisu, Dan and Megan. And they also fought with the issue, okay, Tiramisu is not going to practice, or the other pro players in Vienna. But now they made advanced pro training and then beginner intermediate. And I went and I actually held some of the trainings there already. And the pro players come as well. And then you have completely different feeling, because it's a locker room. It's a locker room talk. You joke around like you would do in basketball and football and all the other team sports. And then go out there, you train hard. You don't have to ask people to try and be faster, because they are there to give everything they have for 90 minutes or 2 hours, okay, full power. And then they go home completely shattered and exhausted. Or maybe we grab something to eat and we go home and we're super happy. But if you're there just standing around, it's like, okay, oh, I'm bored. Oh no, I don't want to be on this net again because this person cannot serve or cannot receive. People can really detect these vibes that you don't want to be with them on the net. It happened to me also some partners that if you don't trust your partner, the other feels it. It feels it so much, right? This is more than a gameplay that we're going to cover later on. So your solution would
Yes,
be having
but it's
different
also
levels,
in
right?
an ideal world, I will not have one training session a week. I will have 2 or maybe 3 sessions a week. And I think this is like one of the biggest problems out there. Having only one session a week makes this problem even worse, because then you have to decide about having the group together or splitting them up. If you have 3 times training a week, it's easy. You say like, okay, maybe Tuesday and another day, Friday, or we're gonna have like different levels, and on one day a week we're gonna train everybody together. So even the best players can coach and help other players to improve, because you need that to get better, to face against better players. But I think it's only possible if you have multiple trainings a week, because if it's only one training a week, the best players cannot say I'm going there and I'm helping the beginners to get better, because they have to train this one time a week for the tournaments.
Yeah.
And that's like a big problem we have in probably all the clubs out there. So I recommend get out there, try everything to get as much trainings a week as possible, because then it's easier to do the splitting stuff and people will accept it easier and stuff. So I would try to do that for sure, but it's hard.
It is even more challenging to add. It's more challenging in the winter if you have limited capacity in the hall. But what I talk to people, like I know in Vienna we have, I think we have training sessions 3 times a week. In Kassel they had keys from the gym, right? I mean, some communities, some people, I mean, I work as a PE teacher. I made a great deal with the school. So we had 10 hours. I was training in 2022. We were training for 10 hours a week, plus playing every single weekend almost. That felt, I had to look at my nutrition. I had to look so much other stuff. I was doing a professional athlete lifestyle with so many training sessions. So you would say, okay, we need more training sessions, which is more manageable. Starting in Europe, usually in April, depending where you are, you can go to parks. What are your thoughts about training in parks, having official training sessions in parks and not in a sport facility?
I don't like it. It's yeah, I just don't like
Your
it.
short answer.
For myself personally, I cannot focus when there are 100 people around me. Like in Munich, if you know English Garden, it's like one of the biggest parks in Germany, and thousands of people are there chilling, doing sports, listening to music, drinking beer and stuff. I cannot focus on getting better in something if this is around me. So a fixed area where I have like a quiet spot where I can focus on what I do is for me really important for training. It's probably not that important for beginners as it is for pro level players, but I still recommend to do it as a beginner because you will improve way faster. And then coming to the second big point, if you look on the turf, like if you look at the grass in the park, it's like horrible. You cannot even walk there without hurting yourself. Like everything is laying around glass and stuff. So yeah, I don't like it at all.
I remember there was this one time when we were playing pickup in English Garden, and I was wearing cleats, I believe, so football shoes. And then there was a little hole, and I'm like, I can't focus. This is not serious. Like, I'm too spoiled. I'm used to, not gonna say 4th generation turf field, but I'm used to playing on a field or training on a field that is even. And that is simply the next step in the evolution of a hobby or of a game of Roundnet in becoming sport. Do you know what I think? And this is for all of you out there, coaches and club executives. What is a big difference, or what would make a big difference when it comes to training sessions? I think I told you, when it comes to attendance.
I'm not sure.
I believe a big difference, or the biggest difference between a hobby, around as a hobby, and around as a sport, is that you attend a training session. You don't have to register each week, okay, I'm going to come to the training session. it is expected of you that you will show up, and you have to cancel out of good reasons latest 24 hours before the training session. So it's easier for the coach. He knows how many people are going to come. He knows, okay, what we're going to do with 12, 14, 16 people. And it's mindset that says, okay, I'm committed. So every Thursday from 6 till 8, I'm not going on a date. I'm not going to have a coffee or drink beer. I'm going to practice, and we can meet afterwards. Because I found it as a coach in Munich or everywhere. I understand it, but I could not comprehend, because in my youth, but also as an elite athlete, it was, okay, it's training session, okay, great, and then the rest. I think this is the big difference. It's something that could really make in a long term huge,
yes, for sure,
huge impact.
But I think it's really difficult in Germany, and also probably in some of the other countries in Europe, because like we're living such a good life in Germany. So everything is easy. If I want to do something, I can do it. And the kids from today, they raise up and they play football, they play tennis, they go to they play guitar, for example. They visit friends, they go into some kind of youth group, and they have all this stuff in their week, and there's school on top. So they have so much to choose from, and it's really hard to focus on having a fixed training once a week if you do so many hobbies at the same time and you don't have like this one hobby. And I think there are other countries out there which the kids don't have the opportunity, or even the adults, to do all this crazy stuff. And if you can't do it, it's way easier to focus on one thing and play football every day, play Roundnet every day, if you don't have the options. And I think this is a big part even in the adult scene in Germany, because people are like, they're free. They are choosing their time. They're choosing what they do, like really spontaneous. Oh, today I'm looking forward to play some tennis. And today, oh no, I'm not feeling like playing tennis. I want to go to football. It's a big thing. And I'm even thinking that's really forward, and thinking about having clubs in the future where you're heading to the club, but you don't have like a fixed sport. You're just signed up for the club, but you're going to whatever you want to do, because people are going there.
It's just crazy. We are having transcript-based conversation, so it would probably underline it, because you just argue that Germans are spontaneous, and me living in Germany for so long, that's usually not the case. Everything is pre-planned when it comes to training sessions and all the activities. I have to drop this. So when I moved to Germany, this side story, when I moved to Germany as a hopeful 20-year-old who did not speak a lot of German, I went as a part of Erasmus program. And after a couple of weeks, some guys came to me. It was like, okay, we'd like to invite you to our birthday party. I was like, okay, this is so cool. Finally getting invited somewhere. I understand Geburtstag. Okay, great. And it was Wednesday, and they say it's Friday. I was like, okay, perfect. Friday, I have nothing. I think there was no handball game. So okay, so this Friday, what do we do? Like at 7? It's like, no, not this Friday. Friday in 3 weeks. I'm like, what? We're planning on getting drunk in 3 weeks, Friday? I'm like, dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do like tomorrow. I was like, okay, Friday, 48 hours, great. And that is when I realized, among a lot of German typical stereotype stories, that I could probably make an own podcast about. I think a lot of Germans would laugh, or people who lived in Germany. It's like, okay, different culture, and they are not as spontaneous, right? And they are punctual, with exceptions. And two of us know two very good exceptions when it comes to German punctual in the Roundnet world. We're not gonna name names, but okay. So you think it's about having too much choice? So it's paradox of choice, and I'm very glad that you actually speak of this, because I've struggled with it a lot. Once you reach certain level of financial independence, okay, money is not really longer an issue. I'm extremely privileged. I also work very hard. I'm not saying that I'm a millionaire, definitely not. but I'm not stupid. But what to do? It's about prioritizing. And if you have someone who prioritizes, I put Roundnet before my relationships in 2021-22. I literally broke up with a girl because I was spending so much time on Roundnet. And I chose that. And okay, I mean, screw it, it's a podcast. Let's have fun. I met a girl, 2022, May. Great. There was the season where I played, I think, 25 tournaments in 30 weekends. It's completely crazy. And after the date, she was like, yeah, this was so great. I was like, yeah, we had such a great time and everything. She was like, okay, when do we see each other next time? I'm like, okay, Wednesday. And she's like, no, I'm working. I was like, Thursday. Like, no, I'm working. I was like, okay, I'm a high school teacher. I finish at 1. So, okay, that's not going to work. She was like, yeah, next weekend. I was like, next weekend I'm going to Prague. And she was the weekend after. Then I'm in Hamburg. And then I'm in Riga. Maybe in 4 weeks. And I became the German. I was like, oh my God, I became this person I lost it 10 years ago. I mean, I had this sudden realization and I was like, oh, wow, look at me. But I had a goal. I wanted to make it to Worlds for Team Germany. It didn't work out from bureaucratic reasons, among other things. But there was me. And I don't want to be in a training session with someone who decides on the day if he feels like going to training session or not, if he feels like he's going to work hard or not.
I would say maybe spontaneous was not the best word in the situation to choose. It's more about having tons of options and waiting. People are waiting to the last second to decide what they're going to do. And that's the problem with signing up for training, because people are not doing that, because there could be a party on the same day. There could be some friends going to some kind of sports.
I could swipe right.
Yeah,
swipe
exactly.
Right, have a match.
It's exactly this thing, and it starts in the youth, and it's going all the way up, and people are waiting to the last second to decide what they're gonna do, and no one can really plan with that, and it's just horrible. And that's why I think I thought about being spontaneous, because they decide last second what they do. But it's actually more about having several options and waiting for last second. It's even when I texted some friends, do you want to do something today? And it's like about, I don't know yet. I will text you later when I know better. And I'm like, what? Look at your calendar. Even you have time or you don't have time. But it's just, and then I felt it. Okay, maybe he's waiting for something better and stuff, which sounds really bad, but I think it's what actually happens a lot.
I mean, I also do that sometimes, but I'm not proud of it. I try to make fast decisions. It does not work out. It's not going to be the best decision every single time, but at least it is a decision, as the Stoics said. And inaction is also an action when you decide not to do something, right? And there are costs of not doing something. And then eventually you end up maybe alone or in a party, probably even worse, or an event you really did not want to go, but you just didn't want to be alone, but you ran out of, it's too late now to go to the training, or you're texting 10 minutes before training, can I still come, please? And then you have someone on the other side who's like, oh, we should include everyone. It's like, yes, but no, there are certain rules. And I see this also with signing up for tournaments. And I say, no, these are the rules. This is the deadline. If you sign after deadline, I'm sorry, that it's over. I like you. I love you. Some people, but no, I have to be consistent. It is what happened at Fresh last year. No, these are the rules. You either accept them or not. So I wish you were here, but you don't want to accept the rules because you have other commitments. That's fine. Or you're trying to avoid, and get an advantage. And I did not like that. I had to say no to quite a few people, but that's life. If you want to achieve something, I believe something great for the majority or for your target group, then you have to make tough decisions. So yeah, I guess you said it right. Nice. That is the biggest challenge we are facing in the Roundnet community nowadays, is we cannot say yes to everyone at every single time. What are your thoughts when it comes to beginners and training with beginners, the so-called in German Schnuppertrainings, and experience? Because we have quite a few experience with this, doing this for a long time, and I guess a lot of coaches could learn from our mistakes or from our views.
So you mean what to do with the beginners in like having first training, or?
I mean, let's say we have a fixed training, as you said, every Thursday, and you have certain level, but then you also want to include beginners. So then your boss of the club thinks, oh, you have 2 beginners coming in as well. Have fun. And you have 16 other players who are on more or less on the same level.
So the best thing is to have like a second coach at this point, I would say. If you don't have a second coach, just use your players, include your players, and try to use them as a coach, because that normally makes it really easy. And then you can switch in between the groups. So, but also if we wrap up what we talked like the last 20 minutes,
yeah, please.
Having different skill levels, like different groups, having as much as possible training opportunities, like having not one training a week, having several trainings, and having this big problem with players which are not which cannot say I'm coming to the training, which are always waiting for the last second. I think there's also another thing which you could focus on as being a coach or as being a club. Choose the players which are committed and put them in a group. Don't focus on only skill-based groups. If you have like 20 people which are willed to drill and they always come, then only make 2 groups of skill levels and try to separate a bit beginners and intermediate and advanced and pro players. Because if you have like fixed players which are committed to come, it's way easier to work than having 4 different skill levels. And yeah, in every skill level there are 5 to 6 players, and each week there is like Lotto, we call it in Germany, playing Glücksspiel, who is coming to the training and who's not. So maybe you could focus on that. Yeah, it's a lottery. I really like doing that, having committed players and focus on them.
That is very true, and that again comes back to the issue we had with have goals and mindsets. So different groups have different goals and different mindsets, and you're more likely stick with a program or going somewhere on time and regularly if you like the people and if you have some same goals. If you're in a group of people who want to lose weight, right, or in our case gain weight or gain muscles, then you want to be, if I want to gain muscles, I'm not going to be training with people who want to lose weight, because we will not have a lot of things in common. We don't have common goals and we have completely different problems. And my problems that I'm facing is literally laughing into their faces because that's what they want, right? And that may be an extreme example now in the rounded world, but that is what is happening. And if we don't stop this now, or if we don't find some solution, and I feel, and I know in Vienna, there's a solution which is being implemented, is really good right now, then we may face, let's say a little bit of storm in the long run, because I personally believe that those ones who are willing to fly across the world, literally, like Frederick Hinkle, who flies, I mean, he's even crazier than me. I mean, last year, he just flew in from Dallas to Vienna for a tournament for 40 hours, played, won, and left, and flew back to Dallas for a weekend, right? I mean, that's crazy. I mean, business executives do that. Not even Djokovic does that. Yeah, for one day, usually for a little bit longer. But those people push the sport. They make it so difficult, like serving like Ryder. They make it so difficult, so we have to change the rules. But if those people stop doing what they're doing, and you're one of them, and I'm not gonna name them because I'll forget, and there's no way I can name all of them. If we let them stop, I believe there's a big shame. Maybe we can get there, and we definitely can get there differently, but why not together? It's also one of the issues that I communicated with Roundnet Germany in the past. Yes, we are here, you are there for everyone, which is absolutely great. I want to focus more on the pro players, selfishly also because of me, because of you, because of other players from our group. Okay, let's work together and grow together and not make rules that are going against each other, right? But there have been some great updates on right? Germany divisions right now. But to wrap up, as you said, okay, have simply more trainings. And yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, and I hope people can implement. Let us know, guys. Let us know how is it in your club. Write us an email so we can all learn. Having said that, how would you deal now with the beginners, if we can return to that? So yes, you have the coach, right? The extra coach, or you tell one of the better players, can you please go with the beginner? But why should I, if you're the coach now and I'm one of the better players, hypothetical situation, unfortunately nowadays, why should I put my time that I'm now putting in, I want to put in myself in my training, give it to someone that I don't know, I don't have any benefits, short term or long term. Okay, he's gonna or she's gonna be great. Maybe I'll potentially make a new friend. But why should I do that? Is it my job?
Probably about being a great human being, because if you only have the one training a week, it's about the being amazing person to spend your time on beginners, spend your time on intermediate players, because as a pro player you will lose your time to train on your own. So, but if you have several trainings a week and you're only taking that one training to train beginners, I think there's a lot to learn for like a good player. Because if you can do something, it doesn't mean that you can coach it. But if you can coach it, normally you have a way better understanding of what are you actually doing and why are you doing it. Because if you tell someone to do something the way you want to do it or the way it should be done, there's always coming up this question, why should I do it like this? And
yeah,
if you know how to do it, it's still not easy to answer that question. Because if I know how to do the cut serve and he's asking like, why should I do it like that way? If you then say, okay, because it works out for me and look at the result, they will not learn it and accept it that easy. It's more about if you can really show up why it's good to like bend your elbow, lift your elbow up, and if you can really show them what it does, it's way easier for people to accept it and to develop it and to do it. So I think there's a lot to learn for yourself as a good player, to understand techniques better, to understand tactics better and stuff, and also working with people.
I couldn't agree more. However, and that's just a fancy way of saying, but it is, in my view, very important to set the expectations in advance. Meaning, and this maybe goes for all of you out there, or most of you, when it comes to pickups. And I know two of us had this conversation a lot of times before. If I'm going to the pickup, I'm not going, if I'm a pro player, I'm not going there to play and improve. I'm going there with a different mindset. I'm going there to meet new people and excite new people for the sport, make new friends, and have a great time. I'm not going there to ace beginners so I can feel good about myself. By the same token, if I have 3 training sessions a week and I know every 2 weeks I'm going to help out the beginners, then I'm like, okay, all set, perfect. I can prepare myself mentally. I can prepare some exercises so I feel more confident. And they'll be like, oh, wow, okay, we're getting coached by the pro player. Doesn't have to be me. At anyone, or I've only seen you from Instagram. That happens from time to time when I introduce myself to people that are like, yeah, I know you from Instagram. Okay, that's so cool, right? I was like, yeah, I liked the thing you talked about. Great, worked for me. I was like, yeah, that's so awesome. But it's really about having setting the expectations in advance so we can really configure our mindset for it. I know it helps me, and I can imagine it helps a lot of people as well. But what about the beginner situation if we took a couple of steps back? So maybe even like, should they be allowed to advanced training or pro training straight away? Or how did you guys do it in Munich? especially in the winter season with very limited spaces?
Stepping a bit back, like not this season, last season, we had a whole, I think Moritz did it from Munich. He did a whole beginner training in a several place with all the beginners and new members of the club. He did the training for all of them, which was like perfect. And on another day, we had an intermediate training and an advanced training. And we had also some space left, some time for the pro players. It was not a training for them. It was just a place and some time to drill by their own. But that was all the pro players were asking for, because for sure there could be a coach for them, but it's not necessary because everyone else as a pro player wants to train by their own. So it was more about grinding together and having this mindset together, having those goals together. So that was the way we had, and I think that worked out really perfect. We had like 1 or 2 players with like, I'm not happy in my group, I think I'm way better, but it's always like based on opinions, and yeah, there will always be different meanings about how good am I and how good is someone else seeing my skill level. But it worked really fine. This winter, we only had 2 training sessions. I think there was no beginner training because they said we have enough players in the club and we can't handle them at the moment. So we only had intermediate beginner training together and advanced pro training together. So it was 2 training sessions separated from each other with, I think, at the end, everybody played together and or even warmed up together. So not the whole training session was split up. Yeah, I think that was the case this winter season, or is the case.
I would just like to highlight for all of you listeners or viewers is that, again, Moritz, or as a beginner strength, there were certain number of people and they stuck together through a longer period of time, because you cannot really teach a lot in one session. I see it when I run clinics. Next one is going to be next couple of days in Riga, where I could be talking for hours, but after 20 minutes, the best sometimes, it's too much. You have to go, you have to move, you have to process the information. And now most people process the information even slower now with the social media and shorter attention span and whatnot. But really the key point is, okay, you have your group, stick with it, and then work with it. And they maybe create another group. So you have pro ones, you have pros 2.
Exactly. That was the case. And then we had like some special situations when we had like a really, really fast improving beginner. After 3, 4, or 5 training sessions, Moritz said, okay, you go next week, go to the intermediate training and try yourself. If it works for you, stay there. If it's still too high on the level, come back to me, to my training session. So that was always the way, if someone was improving really fast, to check out the higher training group and find out if it works or not.
I remember having this conversation, I don't know with whom, about you, Ivo, and Basti, and also I think Leon before he moved to Hamburg, that I was like, okay, these are the best players in Munich. Like, oh, definitely not. I was like, okay, not now, but in 3 weeks. This one in 2 weeks, this one in 3 weeks. So once they work with me, they'll, because I saw, like, you see the potential because you really wanted it. I mean, you personally, but also the others really like, okay, we want this. And this is the worst, and it happens everywhere in every sport, is that, no, we have our rules, so we have to stick by them. So you need to be in this beginner, you start beginner. I'm like, no, you want to be an advanced and you know the rules, but you're 2 meters left-handed player who used to play handball Bundesliga, you're going straight to pros. I don't care. You're going to get your, okay, I should watch the language. You're going to lose a lot, get aced a lot, but you will improve so fast and you'll be the best player here within weeks or months, right? And this is really what has happened. I mean, you and Ivo were shortlisted on being the most improved player in 2021. Ivo even won. Ivo then won second best. He was second best player, I think, last year by the Roundnet Germany awards. So there is something to it, right? So guys, dear coaches, if you have someone who really wants it and may not be the best at that point, look a little bit in the future. And I could name a lot of names. I know from Munich, and I'll name one or two. Ines, I'm not gonna say the surname, not Paisan, but the German one. She was not the best when she started, as no one really is, because you don't know the game. But she really is, okay, let's go and let's drill. Jakub, let's practice. I was like, okay, 5 more minutes. She was like, no, hit it again. And I enjoyed it so much working with her and like teaching her so much stuff, because she really was like, okay, she didn't care. She just wanted to go there. And then I said, okay, you should ask this woman to play with her, this player. No, I'm too bad. Ines, forgive me. No, I'm too bad. She wouldn't play with me. I was like, no, she would. Trust me. And then she did, and they did very well. Play a bunch of tournaments, and it's awesome to see.
That's
So
really
don't
funny, because
get out of the way,
as you
coach,
saw
sometimes.
the last tournament she played with Timo together, I was talking to her before the semifinals, and then she was like, there's no way I'm gonna win against left-handed power serving of Connie. And I was like talking to her like 20 minutes straight. Ines, you're gonna win the game. You're gonna win it. Yeah, cheat on his lefty and do something, but you're good. You're gonna win it. Have the mindset of winning it and not have the mindset of losing it. And she won it. She won the whole tournament. So it's exactly what you said.
This is another big topic that we could spend literally hours on. We'll probably do a now teaser in the coaching education program that we're going to offer our coaches worldwide, because the mindset, it is so important. People forget about it, or they don't have the tools how to handle that. Now I'll give you an example from Novak Djokovic. It was one of the, I saw an interview recently, and the interviewer asked him, I mean, your talent is the mental game, and how could you do that? I mean, you're very talented. And I was like, no, stop. I literally abrupted him. No, it's training, and I have so many bad thoughts, as many as you do, and maybe even crazier, because there's so much pressure on me. But I've learned how to deal with that in a very short period of time and then return. And this is what great players or great performers do, because they all have doubts. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger has doubts. I hope he forgives me. Yeah. But we need to learn, okay, how can I get back and reset and make sure that I get the next point to just get my hold in Roundnet? Or in life, I failed an exam. Okay, how do I reset? I teach this, or I taught this to my students when I was a high school teacher. Okay, you will read the first exercise. I have no idea what it's about. Damn it. You read the second, you're completely lost. And then I told them, okay, if this happens, that's okay. Take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out, say, okay, this is not great, but I'm gonna make it anyway. And start looking for things that you can answer right now to build up the momentum. So I was actually teaching my students how to take tests, because that's ultimately also a big part. It's the knowledge, but you need to know you cannot panic, right? So important in games. Do you have some mindset rules that you try to live by, and those that you have coached the most or tried to teach the most people when it comes to performance in Roundnet
I would
or in
say,
football?
first of all, it's always about knowing as much as possible. So if you know a lot of situations, because you cannot be in every situation. Yeah, through your games, you're gonna come into some specific situations. You're gonna lose points. You're gonna lose points in bad momentums. You're gonna build up some momentums. You're gonna make great points. But there will always be a new situation. But if you talk to a lot of people, or a lot of players, everyone has been in some good situations and in some bad situations. And if you know how they handled it to continue, and you know that, and you find yourself in a new situation, you can take something from it, because maybe you were in the same situation before and you told me how you handled it, and then when I'm in the same situation, I know at least like one solution from you, one solution from maybe Nelson, one solution from Benny, and then I can choose and I can try something and maybe it works. So having the knowledge about what could be, what could I do, what situations could be happen, the more you know, the better you are prepared for the situations, I would say.
Yeah, preparation, of course, opponent specific, and also doing the reps. Okay, so if you do the work, the rest is going to take care of itself. If you don't do the work, then it's going to be tough.
And it's also probably a lot about believing in yourself. If you know what you can do, it's if you believe in it and you find yourself in a bad situation, but you know what you can do and you know you are able to get out of the situation, it's all about believing in it. And if you believe you can do it, you're probably going to do it.
And sometimes it is enough. I mean, two of us know quite well that if it's only one person that really believes it, you can definitely get the momentum to your partner. Doesn't matter. And really, then I am down, then you're up. And then it swings. If we're both up, then we're unbeatable. Then nothing.
And that's
can
why
stop us.
why it is a team sport. Like the easiest example for this is like if the ball is getting boomed away and I turn around and I think, oh, I cannot get that. But you shout at me like, run, I'm gonna run. And maybe I get it because you motivated me to run. Because I already started disbelieving in getting the ball, but you believed in it and made me run, and I get the ball.
This is so vital, ladies and gentlemen, the communication within the team, and we can also share some of our not mind games, but thought processes that exactly as Lukas just said, you just shout to your partner, go, go, because then it takes away the millisecond that you are, because when you're thinking game, roundnet, basketball, or a fast-paced game, you lose because you'll be late. You cannot think. They ask Thomas Müller, one of the greatest players, arguably, he's won everything of all times. Okay, how can you always be in the right spot? Or you're in the right spot so many times. But I don't know, or Ibrahimovic, they're just there. They have no idea. So they don't think, they just do, right? And just give me that. If the serve was bad and I really want to play that, and you're like, okay, the serve was bad, and you don't do it, then you're like, okay, I really wanted to play that ball, and then I get aced. Because you experience a little bit of down, and I mean, raise your hand at home, or if you're driving, or everywhere. If that happened to you, that you want to play a ball, but your partner decided not to play, he was or she was not ready, and then you're like, "Sheesh, we should have really played that," and just get aced. Right? It happens so often, like more often than I would care, or I would like to admit. I must say, but like I said, do you have any tips or tricks for people when it comes to team chemistry? How to be when you're already on the field? Maybe one or two tips before we move on to next topic.
I would say, first of all, many of the teams already are vibing pretty well at them. If you're a fixed team, you already found someone which is like having same goals, having the same mindset, I would say, because many people try out many players, and you all will know this one person. You can wake up at midnight and you will still know where he's going to be around the net. So this is the one part, but the other part is knowing each other really well, knowing your qualities of your team partner, knowing what he can do and what are his weaknesses and stuff. Because if you don't know how to handle your team partner, it's probably hard to be good in team chemistry. For example, when I play with Timo, which I played with Timo the last season, we had this one problem when I was getting mad because we lost a lot of points. And then I got into this, I have this one like mindset thing when I'm getting mad. I'm really going into concentration, and it looks from the outside like I'm really mad. You can see that. But for me, it's not a bad thing, because in this mood, I can play really, really well. But Timo cannot play in that mood. If he sees me being like really mad, he thinks, oh, what am I doing wrong? Why is he mad and stuff? But I'm only using the momentum of being mad to concentrate myself. And as soon as I talked to Timo, what's the thing? Why are you not concentrated anymore? And we talked about the situation, what happened. And I explained to him that I'm not mad at all at him, that it's only being mad about the situation and I'm using the momentum of it. He was like, I was thinking I'm doing something wrong the whole time. And after we talked about that, we had like way better team chemistry, because he knew next time it's not about him. He can still play his game. Just leave me in my mood and I'm going to perform really well. And so it's about talking to each other, talking about your mindsets, about your when you're locked on, talking about your thought processes and stuff.
That is funny. I was thinking, when I hear that, you should not be thinking. When you're playing out there, you need to be in such tunnel that you cannot think. I mean, there are so many examples from this world of sports. For example, Phil Jackson, the legendary NBA coach, he said that he's not coaching during the game. Everything's done in the practice. Just he's there and he sits, because players know what to do. They've practiced that, right? And the thing with anger is maybe one of the reasons why we vibed so well on the field, especially as I like to throw my hat, which is like, okay, it's the way of channeling the anger as the tennis player would smash his racket. And then I'm fine. I got all these negative emotions, energy out of me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get to the next ball. And I don't care how, I don't care, but I'm there. And I'll say it out loud and I'll get into opponents. And then even if I'm not there, I'm so there mentally. And then okay, he's there, lock and loaded.
Yes.
As a head throw, that's good. That's a good sign. But again, what did I do wrong? And this is, I've been thinking a lot about this, where also in my case particularly, like, okay, you really need to be on the same page with a partner, not only technical aspect and playing wise, but also, okay, mentally. And you can get there a little bit before the tournament, or you talk before the tournament, but it's about spending time together and really knowing how the other person is going to react under pressure in all this situation. And it's a process, it's a longer process. I mean, Benny and Nelson, one of the greatest teams in Europe, they've known each other for a lot of years. Paul Combian just split the French guys, Doria and Robin. They've been best friends for the past 9 years, right? Marcus and Nelson as well, since 8th grade. So you've got all these connections, all these dynamics. I mean, these are not the rules, but those are people, or the brothers, that know each other very, very well. But as I said, this is something that, as a coach, if you have someone to coach, or if you have a team that wants to be coached, you can give tremendous value, because you are going to ask these questions, right? It's very difficult especially for younger players, this experience, to really be so self-reflective and reflect on themselves without this experience. So that's what I think. What are your thoughts, Lukas, now on coaching and Roundnet in general? I mean, we both do. We are one of the few people in the world that we know of. We know there are coaches everywhere, obviously trying to do best their players, planning training sessions. But where do you see the future of the sport in terms of coaching? What needs to be done, or what do we need more? And
of course, we need more people like us, or more people which are coaching. It's always better to have more coaches. The more coaches out there, the easier it's gonna get, because it's gonna spread and more people are gonna know the sport, more people are gonna have trainings and stuff. So one thing I have with coaching is, or which I wish, is that coaches should focus on other things than they do at the moment. It's quite a big topic, but I can try to summarize it really short.
We have time.
We have time. It's about when I see people coaching, not only in Roundnet, in several sports. I think many of them are not the best version when it comes to structure themselves, structure what they teach first, what they teach second, what they teach afterwards, when they go a step back, when they go forward. And there's this one thing in Roundnet I have. Let's take an example because it's easier to understand. Maybe let's take defense. When people are coaching defense, and it's always about telling people how to rotate, having a fixed system. Maybe we all know tracker looper system. We know having one at the net, having one running. I don't know if there's already a thing. How do you call it? Is there already like a topic for it? Runner and blocker, or
Now you have someone who goes deep and who takes short, for
Yeah.
example. You have someone who's doing the body defense, the other one is recovery setting, but I don't know if we have said names. Preston would know, probably.
Yeah. But that's the thing, they talk about like tactics and stuff, and they totally forget about what really is important, what is the basic, and what is the important stuff about a technique. So if we look at defense is not about the rotating system and being the perfect funner and runner and stuff. It's first of all, when you learn how to defend, it's a lot about tracking the ball, tracking the receive, tracking the set, tracking. Have a look at the hitter. Which arm is he raising? What could happen next, to know what is possible, which hits he could choose and stuff. People are focusing way too fast on the complicated stuff, I would say, and forget about the easy stuff, which is probably not that obvious, because that's the only way I can explain why people are skipping it. And when I talked to a lot of people in the coaching camp, they were like, oh, okay, when it comes to defense, you're not teaching systems and stuff. You're teaching people how to read sets. You're teaching people how to read arms, how to read hips of the hitter and stuff, and only go for short, long defense at the first time. And they were like really impressed. But when I talked about it and told them what my opinions are about it, they were like, oh, maybe we should have done that first, or focus way more on that stuff. When I look to hitting, it's for me, yeah, there's a pull, there's a push, there's a flick shot and stuff. But first of all, you probably should control your hit. Like you should be able to do a little pull, a little push by rotating your body, and you should be able to hit it lower, hit it higher, and hit it really high. And if you can't control that, why go on to having the biggest pull, the biggest push and stuff? So that's like one really, really big topic. I wish for that coaches are going more into that direction, focusing on which is the basics, what is the important thing about the technique and stuff.
Good that there's going to be something about this topic very, very soon, talking about roundnet fundamentals and what to focus on the very basic level. So stay tuned. Oh, I completely agree. Me, myself, I think I was caught in this vortex for a while with maybe focusing way too more on where to run instead of just looking at the ball. Earlier in my career, I was just looking at the ball because I didn't know all the systems, and I think I had way more success on defensive end. Of course, it varies. But this is what Preston Bias, the creator of How to Round It, talked about in one of the early videos. Just look where the ball goes. Or when he was in Munich coaching us, he did this very impressive stunt. I don't know if you remember. So on those ODIs, it was slightly raining in the middle of the trees, where someone set him a ball and he immediately pointed out on the ground where it's going to land, and he touches with his index finger because he tracked the ball so perfectly. And this is why you need to go back to fundamentals and really do a lot of variations of ball control, of setting, hitting, a lot of different, more complex exercises as a two-net roundnet, and things that we do in Mallorca and will be doing even more this year, because those are the things that you cannot learn in one go. I can learn tactics. Okay, I really need to go and put my body to his pull. When we are going to very specific, sorry to bore, not the best, not the most knowledgeable roundnet players in terms of vocabulary, but it's going to change as well. I've got a solution for that. Stay tuned. But I can do that. But if I cannot see where the ball goes, I cannot learn that in one go. I cannot adjust. Right? So it's really coming back to basics, everything like go, fast, fast, fast. Oh, great hit. I want to do flicks. I was like, you don't know how to hit open below waist. Why do you want to do flicks? Why do you want to do that? And then you can learn as a player, okay, now I should hit a low shot, or depending on defense, or do a boom ball, or in between. But if I don't know how to do that, then it's going to be very difficult, because if the only shot I can do is boom ball and I cannot hit low, then I'm gonna have a bad time against better defenders. because I lack the variety, right? So I completely agree, and it's something very few people focus on. And I believe the newcomers now, with the knowledge that is out there and is going to be out there, they're going to improve even faster than you, because it took me forever to improve.
Yeah, it probably needs more
no
material from that side, because
right?
if we look on Instagram and stuff, there are always players sharing their rotation systems, sharing their crazy knowledge about how to do the best tactics and stuff. And if that's the only thing you can find on the internet, it's probably the only thing coaches are going to teach even beginners and stuff. So we probably need to bring out the basics again, bring out what you should focus on more. Because if you look at the best defense player in the world, which is probably still Buddy Hammond, look at him.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what he's not focusing that much on his rotation system. He's always like with his eyes locked on to the ball, and he's already running before the hitters even touch the ball. And that's because he has 10 years of experience, and he knows like probably every shot which could happen from the setting point. So he knows, oh, there could be like a really low shot. He could miss the ball. He could boom it really far. He knows everything that could happen. And he knows what are the most common shit that happened. And then he's really good in reading it. He's looking at it and he's running for it. He makes sure he's going to be in the best place. And that's everything he needs, because he knows so much about the sport and he's so good in reading the attacker. And if you're only focusing on your system and you're watching like straight forward while running to your specific point of your system, making sure to make the funnel, but the set is completely somewhere else, your funnel is going to be probably the worst thing to do in the situation. But if you stick only to the system, it's going to be not that good. So
you've just said one of the most important things that I think the entire round world needs to hear, that this is exactly what we need to be focusing on. And I mean, we both know Buddy. I spent some time with him, so in 2 Mallorcas and before that, and he was teaching us a lot of stuff. And to underscore or underline your point, in last year's Fresh 23, with Frederick Hinkle, the world champion, the US STS champion, he held a presentation about defense.
I can remember. I can remember
about defensive rotations. It is very specific. I still have that, and we'll probably make it online in order to prove a point. But if you could read the room, I was getting lost, and I would argue that I am still one of the experts on the sport in the world, with the amount of time that I spend on teaching and coaching you, Ivo, and all the other people, countless or sometimes even hundreds of people. I was finding it very difficult to focus because it was so technical. I understood it. It was so technical. And then Fred pointed out all the different variation systems, and people had no idea because they didn't understand what a rep was or rep shot, right? So if we cannot even name shots or don't know what I'm talking about, that it's going to be very difficult to explain to you something more complex. We saw that in Vienna clinic that we did before the ETS Vienna, when I asked everyone, do you know what a push shot is or pull shot? Because the clinic before, I noticed some puzzled looks when I was talking. It's like, okay, you don't know what I'm talking about, right? I was like, no. Okay, I'm talking about pull, which is you pull the ball under. Okay, now I know, right? So really, this is like the very foundation. And then Fred came to assistive touch when he was analyzing the opponents, and he said, I have no idea how they do it. There is no system to it. They just, I don't know. And they won. That's how they won. I asked Buddy the same question, and Buddy said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Clark doesn't know what I'm going to do. We don't know, we just go. And then it's very difficult to fight that if you don't have a system like that. And then you have two big
But he
giant
made it easy. He made it easy with that answer. I don't think that he doesn't know at all what he's doing. I think he's really good in reading stuff and seeing stuff. And probably in the moment itself, it does not feel like he knows what he's doing. But like in his mind, he knows the situation. He has seen them many, many times before. And there's this intuitive thing in his head which says him, you're going to be in this spot and you're going to be, that's your best spot to be in. I think over the years, he learned a lot. He knows a lot.
You know what's the beautiful thing? We'll just ask them. I'll just reach out to him and ask him all these questions, and then let's see the answers.
See if he still says he has no idea what he's doing. I don't think so.
Yeah, not idea that he doesn't have a plan of doing. Maybe I didn't formulate it correctly. But now for you guys listening, okay, you ask yourself, okay, Buddy's amazing in defense, but he's played for 10 years. I am not playing for 10 years. How can I get where he is? How can I get there fast enough or much faster? I don't have 10 years to do so. And what would be your answer to that?
If you have a training with a coach, your coach should be focusing on doing exercises which are not focusing on rotation systems and stuff. Your coach should try to find, and I know it's hard because we don't have many exercises out there yet, and it's the big challenge as a coach to think about new ways of exercises and stuff. You can take something from other sports for sure, but you have to think about your own. You have to talk to people. You have to take everything you can get. That's how I do it. And then I try to find a solution to take this one specific thing out of the game and try to find exercises how to train it and how to get closer to the real game, to stepping it up and up and up. And then I try to find exercises to learn how to read the hitter, read the set and stuff. For example, when I do defense, like the thing I really like is to play inside the serving line, play 2v2, and play with a ground touch. Yeah. So you're only allowed to flick or to hit the ball, even on the serve, and it has to land inside the serving line. So it's almost impossible to kill the ball. And there you can learn a lot about reading the arms, because it's easy to defend, and the shots are really like you don't have that many options. You can only hit it low, short, or low in 1 to 2 meters and stuff. And people are getting good at it. And that's the second big thing. If people have touches and you show them a way in training and you give them exercises to get touches, then they will start having fun on defense. And then we can talk again about the mindset thing, about the building the momentum. If you play normal pickups and you don't have touches in defense, you probably think about, oh, defense is so hard. I suck at defense. I cannot do it and stuff. But if you start in training with having an easy exercise where you build up a lot of touches and stuff, you're going to feel sticky. You're going to feel good. And then you come into the next exercise and it's going to be a bit harder, for example. Maybe the game form is now, if you touch the ball in defense, like in a normal pickup game, the opponent is not going to make the point. It is at least a redo of the point if you touch it somewhere. And that's when you start going crazy, going to the net and somewhere touching it, get yourself shot at somewhere at the body. And you're going to build up even more momentum and fun for the defense. And that's where you can build up a really good defense training. If you only do like running system from the start and no one is touching a ball at all, it's probably hard.
That is doomed to failure, as they say. What I want to stress or deconstruct is that you said the touches, you need to have fun, but it is really about touching the ball, because what does it mean 10 years of more experience of playing roundnet or doing any skills? Buddy has probably touched the ball more times than a lot of people on this planet. But then I asked myself a question that's a different story in 2019 when I played first official big tournament, and I played second game against the guys Optic Boom from Cologne, the European champions, the best team back then in Europe. I asked them, okay, how many times did they touch the ball in their lives? Because they play pickup, they don't practice. And I know the Americans, they did not used to practice. And in pickup, you don't touch the ball that much. So with exact like exercise that you just said, and I love the drill, I didn't know the drill, then you're getting more touches. With simple 1, 2, 3 before pickup, you're getting as many touches in 1 minute than you would get in 2 or 3 hour session. I did the math. I'm not going to show it to you because, I mean, I could, but I literally did stats in 2020 and everything. Said, okay, how many hits do I have per game? how many hits, defensive touches do I have per game? Or my team, how many serves do I have? And then when you really put it in training and you look across a plan of 6 months or 1 year, because now you need to practice a little bit more to get to the top in Roundnet, still significantly less amount of time if, let's say, basketball or one of the more established sports, right? Then it is actually very manageable if you start with a system and a structure. And I remember when I started teaching you, I already developed a system. Okay, this is what I want to teach you first. This is what I teach you later. Like, for example, flicks came later, and it took me a long time to convince you for boom ball because you really like your flicks, right?
I still
But
prefer
then you noticed, and this is what the experience that I've already had based on me, how I thought about stuff and how I practiced and coach, and what kind of feedback I got from people, right? So now I changed much more than I was compared to 2019 because I know more, and I know that now I will start teaching hitting, hit right and left, right from the start. And I don't want to see you hit you one single backhand at the beginning, right? But it's again more of the analysis. You need to go and think about them and spend a lot of time thinking about it, doing, practicing, failing a lot of times, seeing, okay, this exercise is too hard. And we definitely hit that. We need people of higher level to do this and that, or this gets too boring. So absolutely, I think you really hit the nail on its head when it comes to defense and body. So long story short, really it comes down to amount of touches, having momentum and everything. You said, Lukas, get it? It's all about the reps, as Mr. Schwarzenegger would say, one of my role models. I know that you've published some exercises on Instagram on your account, Roundnet Training. Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's a thing I did the last year. I haven't done it for some months now, which is not the way I wanted to do, but depend on time and stuff. Yeah, we try to get exercises out there, film stuff we like, develop exercises, take exercises from other sports and put it into Roundnet and show people out there what is possible. What options do I have to train specific techniques and stuff? And then we also had this one thought about being a coach in your club with having a full-time job. You have a full-time job, you come home and you have to prepare your training for your training session. And in the most of the clubs, you're not gonna get paid for it and stuff. So it's your own time you're gonna waste. And we try to minimize your time as a coach and try to put out not only exercises, we try to put out to one topic each training. We wanted to have a 60 to 90 minutes training session, which is like fully prepared, make sure that the exercises are stepping up on each other, make sure that the material is working, that you don't have to worry about too much material, don't worry about to replace cones in between the exercises and stuff. It should all be like going on one line and being as easy as possible for a coach. And if you be the coach, you can look up on Instagram, find your topic you want to teach in your club and find a whole training session for it. That was the goal. And then we also try to start teaching the techniques in a correct and easy way. Try to find a 60-second video or stuff to teach the most important basic stuff about setting and hitting. I think we did that at the moment. But there's also missing serving, receive and stuff. We are not there yet, but it will come at least when the weather is going to be better again.
It is, of course, also challenging to film. And this is underestimated so much. How much time, effort, and of course, money as well. If you want to do it professionally, and if you don't have a writer on your side who's a good friend of you and just do it as a hobby, but then it really involves significant amount of time and resources. And I would really encourage people to check it out on Instagram. That's roundnet.training. And
I think
really,
it's the other way
also
around.
spend some
but
money
it
there.
doesn't matter.
It's training to
I think because the
Roundnet.
other
Okay,
one
we'll put
was
in show
already
notes.
taken by someone.
Just check out Future
It's
Roundnet. You'll
training
find
for
it. You'll
Roundnet.
click your way through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's training Roundnet. Because you can also just donate some money for Lukas and Kara for the countless hours they've put in and the years of experience that you don't need to have, but you're just getting handed on a silver plate. So that is definitely something that I encourage, especially the coaches, to check it out. But it is in German right now, correct?
It's switched to English.
Really? So you rewrote everything?
Not all the exercises, but the videos from the techniques and the stories are in English, and also everything else which is coming from today and now on will be in English. So we already translated everything, but not every exercise we put on there. But you have the videos, so you should be able to understand it maybe without the text, or you can use this small little button on Instagram to translate.
Yeah, I mean, guys, learning something new. There's a button on Instagram saying
I think
translate.
so, yeah. At least if
Really?
I have like text in another language, I'm always having the opportunity to click übersetzen, which means translate in German.
Translate. Yeah. Like in captions. Yeah. Okay, I knew about it. I'm not adult. Okay, no. Okay. Nice. What are your plans now? So you have the Instagram page, but I also know that you mentioned to me that you are trying to help out the clubs as well to write them some kind of a, I'm going to say Bible. In German it's called Leitfaden, but things that Roundnet enthusiasts who want to start a club or wants to improve their club should be aware of. So what kind of project is that?
That's a project I already did in football for several times. It's about having a structure in your club. It's about working on the same goal. As we all know, we have different coaches with different goals and different ideas and different knowledge of techniques and tactics and stuff. And I want to bring out a thing which should help you to get to the same point. So you're gonna have in there like the different levels we have, and it's gonna be helping you with finding the correct techniques, the correct rules, the correct tactics and stuff, which should be learned on a beginner level, which should be learned on an intermediate, advanced, and pro level. It should help you how to be a coach for beginners, like how to react, how to interact with the people, how to be the best coach in that level. It also should be possible to do it for kids if we have them in the future. So it should bring all the coaches to the same point, that everyone is teaching the same thing, like everyone is teaching the serve, or at least the serve basics, the same way. Everyone is teaching the hitting the same way, so that people really can improve. And if you swap your coach after a year, the coach knows if there's a beginner, he can look up in the book, okay, he learned basic hitting, he learned basic setting and stuff, and then he can build on from that. And that's the thing I want to do. And it also should have checklists for tournaments inside there. It should be like your club goals, like your vision, what do you want to reach as a club. There should be everything in it except for exercises, because that you can find on Instagram. Yeah,
that is really awesome, and I think it's extremely important and vital to really start thinking long term that this sport is here to stay, and we are still at the very, very beginning, and it requires a lot of time from multiple people, individuals, especially if you want to work together on the same vision. Then we can create great things. I mean, as the company Spikeball did, with a lot of volunteers and people submitting the content for free, everything, so we could really grew. And now Roundnet Germany has been doing it now for years, so it's really great. But it needs to be structured in a way, because enthusiasm and everything can only get you so far. We all have 24 hours a day, But if we don't work together on the same goal, then it's going to be very, very difficult. And this is something I've tried to implement already in 2019-20 when we started Munich Roundnet Club, when people are like, no, we don't need it, we don't see it, we're here just doing it for fun. But I thought already back then, like, no, we need a long-term strategy. Where do we want to be in 5 years, in 10 years? Are we focusing on the youth? Are we focusing on winning trophies? Are we focusing on being the best known? And so forth, which was one of the reasons why I started Future Roundnet with Kiel, our mutual friend, because I had the vision, okay, let's do content. Let's excite people about the sport and make sure that we'll create role models for the future. So if you start playing, that you want to be like Dani from Tiramisu or Nelson from Graz. So you know you have someone to follow and a good role model. And then of course finances came into play, and then the entire Mallorca thing, which blew up, and now we're going to third year in the next couple of weeks. That very extremely excited about, though it's been weeks of work already in the making. So really, you need to know where you want to go. And then there are so many talented people in the round community, in my view. And I've had people reach out to me, Jacob, we're fans of your projects, how can we support it? And I'm like, please, let's do, we need this, and that. And that means now for everyone listening, if you want to help grow the sport of Roundnet with us as Future Roundnet, we focus on epic, which simply means epic events, great, unforgettable events, PS promotion, and to promote other tournaments, other players, other sports. Then for innovation, we held the very first Revel tournament in Europe, where the very first group of players who got multiple sponsorships, for example, or did this multicultural event in Mallorca. And then simply coaching, because Lukas, Yannick, Nelson, and the entire bunch want to help you reach next level, to really you become better human. And we know that if you're getting better at something, you're more likely to stick with it, and then all of us can grow. So really reach out to us, and we'll be posting also some information of some positions that we're looking for, because we're growing. This is really getting big, and I'm very excited about what the future brings. Lukas, where can people see you this year? Maybe as a coach and also as a player.
First of all, Mallorca for sure.
Wrap up.
About tournaments this year, I'm gonna play a lot of mixed with Caro together for sure. And on the man side, I'm not sure yet, because Timo has a lot of work to do, and he already said he's not gonna do the big ETS tournaments this year, because last year it was like really stressful, and he cannot make it. So on the man side, I'm probably trying out some new players, some new combinations. For Mallorca, it's gonna be as we all call him, the big Andra. I'm really looking forward to that, because he's like a guy like me. He's training he's doing a lot of fitness, as you do as well, Jacob, like doing the calisthenics stuff. And I'm already looking forward to that tournament with him. And yeah, but I will be playing all over Europe and Germany this year. I'm looking forward to be in Riga for the training camp they did last year. They invited me to coach there, and I had a blast being at the sea, being in the hot tub, being in the sauna, experience the people there, they're so awesome.
Okay, could you maybe like sum it up for us a little bit, because I don't think it got a lot of media attention, if we can say. So you were the head coach in a training camp in Latvia, right?
Yes, July. Exactly. If you want to cry, you probably go to their Instagram page and rewatch the video they did from the training camp. It's so emotional. Seeing Alex having a dream come true for him, having a speech I will never forget. Yeah, we had a blast there. It was me doing a big clinic and a big training sessions. on 2 days, and we had a tournament there, and we were close to the sea. We like 100 meters on a green spot with a camp. We had the best chef in Latvia out there. He was preparing food. I was not ready for that. He was grilling for 2 hours straight every day. It was crazy. So if they are doing this camp again, I go there, sign up as soon as possible. It was crazy. We had some Germans there. We had a lot of Latvia people. We had from Eastland, I think. Is it correct? Estonians. The Estonians were crazy. Yeah. So so a lot of people which are playing Roundnet for a long time, but you don't know them because there's only like 5 to 20 people in the country. Yeah, but the time was
playing Roundnet.
More people living in Estonia. They have two more people there.
Yeah. So you'll be coaching in Mallorca. Then we'll probably run some clinics throughout the year. So there's going to be plenty of coaching, and we both of us will have much more presence online. That's one of our goals. So there are some great things coming. I'm having a clinic in Riga in a couple of days, as I said, on a tournament in the notorious indoor facility. And Lukas and I know very well because we had an amazing tournament there.
To play
great memories. Sometimes I do. Absolutely. So check out our stories then for Riga. And Lukas, I think we've been going for some time now, and we have so many more things to cover, but maybe we can save it for part 2 later on. Man, it's been a pleasure having you. Where can people find you again?
Yeah, they can find
Instagram,
me there. It's Lukas Official, but I'm not the Scott Beeks of Roundnet. I'm not posting that much.
Yeah, so you're not the influencer.
No,
you're
I'm more the
coach.
I don't like the social media game that much. I will let other people do that. But I'm looking forward to do a lot of coaching stuff online with you together, Jacob. Bring out some more knowledge we have to the people, which will help a lot.
Yeah, at least we like to think so. So let us know if it's making a difference, if you guys are improving. And of course, Roundnet.training, correct?
I think the other way around, training.roundnet. But it will appear there anyway, I think.
Guys, full disclosure, I really don't know how to differentiate right and left. I had to do driver license twice because I did the wrong turn. So don't judge me. I mean, judge me, that's okay. So that's Roundnet training, Roundnet, tomato, same thing for me. Lukas, it's been a blast. I'll see you very, very soon. We keep in touch. And simply attack you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you guys soon. Bye. Bye. Attack.
Future Roundnet.